law or the criminal justice system has a way or a loophole to protect their own. So yes, we do need to think serious about coming up with solutions and ways to police the police.
Right, we have 15 minutes left. Lonnie, question, comment, then Omar. You're good for right now? Okay. Omar? Come on, Mr. McCoy, come on.
Hey, Mr. Ray, let me just say this to your audience.
Go ahead.
I retired from the Chicago Police Department after 28 and a half years.
Yes.
And under big scrutiny in 2013. And it was August the 9th, 2013, and a lot of community people came. And we were out in front of the station, and I got pictures and I got film of this, so I can prove what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there with NFL football players, NBA basketball players. I was out there with the gentleman who wrote the article and did the investigation that got the 19 black men off the death row here in Chicago. Violence perpetrator Michael W. Hope and John Bird. I was out there with the people who had TV and radio shows, news people. And coming down the street, right in front of the station, a car drove down the street. And I was backing over to the car. And when I went over to the car, I was asked the question, and I told the people to park. And the people were parking. There was a big number of people out there, law enforcement and everything. I said, these three gentlemen did not park. Three gentlemen who are friends of the gang in this building.
Mm-hmm.
They are responsible for 500 of these young black men in this community. And me and my deceased partner put them in the penitentiary.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to take a picture with me.
Mm-hmm.
With my man. And they thought that was crazy as hell. And these three black men got out and came over and took pictures with me and told everyone, these officers were the most fair officers that ever been in this community. When they told you to stop and you didn't, they put you in jail. They never lied on you, they never tried to hurt you, and you never tried to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying about when you're talking about the respect of people in a community. You might, as your parents were raising you, you know when you got discipline, it's because you deserved it. You didn't get discipline because you didn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
You got discipline and you respected that as a person, as a human being. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and you see these black officers that they put in the penitentiary, and you see how these young black men look and how they act and how professional they work. Here it is, you had an officer, Edward Jackson Jr. He would take kids he didn't even know off the street over to the mall to buy them school supplies and school clothes. And someone would ask him, why are you doing this? He said, because someone did it for me. And that's what I'm talking about. When you start talking about community police, you're talking about people who want other people, want for other people what they want for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When you start talking about that, brother, you're talking about just, you don't really need the police. I wish every day that I could live in the suburb outside Chicago, a rich suburb called River Forest. I had the opportunity to engage the mayor. And he said, well, TC, you can work over here in River Forest. I said, well, the only job I want is keeping the gangs off the street corner. He said, we don't have gangs in River Forest, and don't nobody hang on the street corner. So see, in our community, you understand, we need our kids to have something to do. We need them to be able to get a quality education. Not the education that you want them to have, one that's meaningless, one that teaches them how to go work a factory job, or one that teaches them how to stay inspired. I'm talking about the jobs that everybody else has, CEO jobs. Because believe it or not, these young black kids are creative. They know how to do all kind of things if given the chance. The only thing that they believe that we are qualified for is going to the penitentiary.
Yeah.
For selling drugs, and I don't find that to be true.
Okay, we have Mr. T.C. McCoy, we have 10 minutes left. Let me ask you a question. And how compounded this is and how many, well, not just black police officers, but black people in general. In this book, I want to refer this book to you, Police Brutality by Jill Nelson. And there's a section, a paragraph that raises this question. The notion of the black male predator is so historically rooted in the American consciousness that many people have come to accept the brutalization and murder of citizens by the police as an acceptable method of law enforcement. The assumption is that black men are the bad guys, and if the police kill someone, it must have been for a good reason. They must have done something. And this attitude is ingrained since slavery, it says, is nurtured and manipulated by the police, who are quick to release the prior arrest record or medical records or of their victims, as if getting a speeding ticket, smoking weed, or being mentally ill justifies being killed. And it seems like this question ties into today's discussion. Go ahead. Before you respond, Mr. T.C. McCoy, one quick announcement. Week after next, Brother's Keeper is going to be here on the Love Power Show at 2 o'clock. Is that right, Omar?
Yes, sir.
Brother's Keeper.
2 o'clock.
2 to 3. You have announcement, Omar, another announcement?
Yes, I want to say that the show is also sponsored by the law office of Deshaun Peoples. He handles all phases of law. If you need to reach him, call 901-605-3387. That's 901-605-3387. The law office of Deshaun Peoples.
Okay, announcements, Jeffrey, Lonnie, and then we're going to go back to the phone. If anything comes up, let me know. Mr. T.C. McCoy, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Please.
That is the most profound question anybody has ever asked. Let me tell you the origin of it.
Okay.
When we came over here on the slave ship, black people were being whipped unmercifully. And the attitude of the slave master is that he would never do nothing to you. You had to do something wrong. He just decided upon himself that I'm going to have this power over you, and anything that I do to you, you have to accept. When you go get a job, black people work at a lot of these factories in numbers, and you got fired, you understand, for no apparent reason, but to show that the man has power over you. Black people say, well, he wouldn't have fired you for nothing. You had to do something. You came late or you said something wrong. Okay, let's get to the police part.
Yes.
I don't believe in that brutality that and making the victim now the offender. And yeah, they do that in police work. Remember, when these officers were arrested, former officers were arrested, the first thing that happened was they had everybody in the city of Chicago that didn't know the truth say, well, he must be something wrong. The police would not allow them like that. They had to be out there doing something. They did something. And in the 18.5 years that I have investigated this thing inch by inch, I never left one rock on the beach unturned. I found nothing that these officers, that they said these officers did, that they did. And we have to stop that thinking that the victim is now the offender because he must have did something and the police had to do what they had to do. That is a complete and utter lie. What we have to do now is change the mindset of our people. You have to prove that the person that the police did something wrong. Here in Chicago, they got, every time you turn around, the police is shooting a citizen, and the first thing they say is, he looked in the police direction and pointed a gun. And the judge said, well, how come he keeps pointing the gun but he never used it? That doesn't make sense. And when you frame things that don't make sense, we the black men have to stop and address it. Because if we allow that thing to keep permitting itself, we're going to fall prey to our own family being the subject and the victim and the offenders at the same time of this criminality. The police have a right to do whatever they want to do. They don't have a right. And that's what I've been fighting for the last 18.5 years.
So, Mr. T.C. McCoy, it sounds like after all these years that African Americans are still not educated, in this case more specifically, about the roles and responsibilities that we have as a people versus the role and responsibility of policemen tied into fear. Is that what's going on?
That is what's going on.
And so therefore we're going to have to continue getting the word out, continue educating and promoting, propagating, and teaching the people their roles and responsibilities, and somehow or another building up some kind of courage, skills, and knowledge. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. We need to, as a community, that when the community step up in numbers, and you found that the police would shrink. And there are good police officers out there, don't get me wrong. I love being the police. But this was not the kind of police that I was. This is not the kind of police that these gentlemen were. And we want to tell the world that these police that do this thing should not be police. They were not police officers, they were criminals, and they should be prosecuted as criminals. Anytime that the police, a policeman, do anything other than what he is in charge of and his duties and responsibilities, then he's a criminal. He's not a police officer.
Okay. One more question. We have 5 minutes left, Mr. TC. What would you say the reason for, and I'm going to make it simple, I'm not going to go radical like I usually do. The average white cop is on the police force. Why?
Well, remember now, there's three things that you must understand here. There's three things that a white man is set up. One's a black man with education, a black man with a white woman, and a black man with a gun. And
Wow.
I was done.
Okay.
So if he don't have the gun and you got the gun, then you get the power. He want to make sure that he always has the power. He don't care about you messing with his brother as long as you can afford his brother. That's the reason a lot of black athletes are broke today, because they lose their way. You don't care how much education you got, because see, he downplays you. He gives you a job at McDonald's. He don't give you a job at let's say, Drummond, making all kind of weaponry. He wants to make sure that he has control over you. He don't control you because if you know how to think, you can control yourself. His power comes from the gun. And he will never allow in this country more black police officers than white. And he will never allow more black police officers to be in a supervisory position than white.
Okay.
Because once he loses that power, he loses control.
Yeah, it's all about power. We've got 2 minutes left, Mr. T.C. McCoy, and white supremacy. I heard someone say earlier this morning in this station that racism is a spirit. Racism is a spirit. This is what this individual said earlier this morning. And TC, is racism much, much more than anything but a spirit? And is white supremacy maintained and upheld by the white supremacists via the cops going back to the early 1700s? And they were originally called coppers, and they're still called cops. Now we're looking at pretty much the same thing today. We've got 2 minutes. Let's move with the quickness, Mr. McCoy.
Okay, let me give it to you right now.
All right.
White supremacy is alive and well today in America. And it's not only done by whites, but it's done by the black that whites control. Believe it or not, you understand, white people don't live in your community. They don't occupy your community. What they do is they put their agents in your community. Remember now, if you got a black police officer who hates black people worse than white people, he's part of the white supremacy, because his thing is to always be on the foot. So white supremacy works. What happened in our case is that white supremacy couldn't work, because we in that community decided that we were going to take a foot off. And me and my partner was the one that made the decision for that team. We had a white sergeant who allowed us opportunity to control that. So yeah, of course, white supremacy another Jay-Z. But see, they don't talk about that black dot like Ben Carson. They talk about the man called Empire. But white supremacy is always the underlying thing in America, especially to black people.
Yeah, it's a negative image that's being promoted. And one last question. Are we going to have to call out African Americans who violate the interest and rights of other African Americans? Are we going to have to call them out? Call them to question. Is that right, Mr. McCoy?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk. We've come to the end of a good show, Mr. TC, and I will talk with you a little later on. Love power. Thanks for coming, everybody. Let me get a little bit of that love power. I know it's 3 o'clock. I know it's 3 o'clock, guys.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock.
I know. When we run right up to the minute, he doesn't like to give me my music. He said,
Now, I wouldn't give you a music, cuz.
he said,
Your music is playing under you.
Oh,
You can't hear it.
oh, okay, well, I like to hear what I talk. He said, you're out of here, Mr. Redd.